Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GSS Core. This is Ajesh, and today in the series of Pathways, today we have one of the rankers of UPSC 2019, that is Miss Shrin Prakash, who has secured All India rank 166 in UPSC, and she is here to speak to us, especially about prelims 2020, which is going to be there on 4th of October. So, Shrin, welcome to GSS Core, and many congratulations.
Thank you.
Shrin, can you just share your story of this success in UPSC, means your family background, your college, your academics, everything in a series?
I'm basically from Delhi, and I have completed my schooling from Delhi. I did my graduation in mathematics from Lady Shri Ram College, after which I completed my post-graduation from Delhi University in 2018. Post that, I was preparing for the UPSC. This is my third attempt in the civil services examination. In the first two attempts, I could not get past the prelim stage.
Okay, fine. So, Shrin, what was your area of improvement in the third attempt that you could just got All India rank 166?
So basically, since I couldn't clear the prelim stage, my first priority was that I really strengthen my preparation for the prelims. So I would say that two things, that is keeping the basics very strong, particularly vis-a-vis the NCERTs, as also regular practice are two key things that I did that helped me in getting a comfortable score in the prelims examination.
Shrin, why mathematics? Because nowadays people have the tendency to choose subjects for humanities. Why did you go for mathematics as an option?
I am a postgraduate in mathematics, so I thought mathematics is my strong point. And secondly, I love mathematics as a subject, so I thought that after doing so much of BS, mathematics was one subject which I could study and study it with ease, with long hours. And I also think that mathematics is an objective subject in the sense that if a question has been done in the right manner, then the scope for any reduction in marks becomes less. Hence, for me, mathematics was the apt option.
Okay, fine. Shrin, you maintained consistency and you qualified this UPSC in the third attempt. So what was your source of motivation and how did you keep yourself motivated throughout this journey?
Basically, I had my goal of clearing the civil services examination in mind, and that was my main source of motivation all these years. It's a very long process with multiple points of exit and entry, and then doing the process all over again. So one has to keep their goal clear and always be patient and persevering. Secondly, my parents also motivated me, and they kept their belief in me even when I was even when I did not feel very confident the second time I didn't clear the prelims. So hence, this was the source of motivation.
Okay. So Shrin, you're from Delhi. You have done schooling from a good school and again college from a great college like Lady Shri Ram College. So do you feel that our past academic background, including schooling, college, that pays us somewhere in the UPSC?
It may pay in the sense that there may be conceptual clarity vis-a-vis our academics. However, I don't think that our academic background is the sole factor of success in this examination. Having the right strategy in place, reading from the right sources, more importantly, having confidence and belief in our goals and in oneself is the most important thing that one needs to have to clear this examination. And not the fact that a strong academic background or any such thing is the only role.
Okay. Shrin, if you look your the past 3 years of journey, then do you feel that there are some mistakes which often the freshers or the aspirant who are totally new to this UPSC, they commit any kind of mistakes?
These days, I think that with the growth of online sources and as also even offline sources, there is a tendency to consult a large number of books and a large number of sources for any particular subject or any particular topic, because one tends to feel that maybe I have left something if I only study from one book. So the first thing is that one has to really limit their sources so that, and do those sources very well, do those sources thoroughly. Otherwise, it just becomes more of a burden to study from multiple books. So I think that is the first thing, that we need to really be strong enough to have confidence that whatever sources we have chosen with a lot of thought, we have given a lot of thought to them and we will continue with them. Although we need to keep adding new information given the fact that it's a dynamic exam. So that we need to keep in mind. However, we need to be consistent with our sources. Like we need to strengthen them and be thorough with them. And the second thing is that practice at all the stages, particularly the prelims and the mains, both is very important. When it comes to answering questions in the prelims, we really need to solve a lot of questions before sitting for the actual prelims examination. So same goes for the mains vis-a-vis answer writing. So I think these two things are very important.
Okay, fine. Srinu mentioned that there are a lot of books in the market, and that is quite true. For example, even if we take the example of basic books, for example, the students are confused like we should go for old NCERT or the new NCERT or Tamil Nadu State Board or NIOS Board. So as a fresher, means I feel that UPSC is like an island, and there are multiple ways to reach the island. Every topper they have their own strategy. So when a fresh aspirant go to the internet or when they listen to the toppers, they get to know about lot of books. So how does a topper aspirant who is totally fresh to the examination decide that this book is best for me and I should stick to this book only? What's the strategy for that?
I think that the need of an expert or a guide like you are and your faculty at your institute is that those whatever they prescribe, that is all because they have they know the various aspirants and which books they consulted. They may be may be in a better position to guide the future aspirants. Hence, taking advice from your teacher or any good expert is important. Secondly, any individual who embarks upon this journey has done their schooling, is also has done their graduation or is in graduation. So we can also apply our own mind and understand which book is good for us. Reading the NCERTs, whether old or new for specific subjects, is different. So vis-a-vis that, reading the NCERTs is non-negotiable. After that, one may, whatever source one thinks that is good enough, is comprehensive, that they can go for.
Okay, okay. Shireen, tell me one thing, that there are multiple copies of toppers on the website itself, right? So various coaching institutes, they upload the toppers copy. So how come an aspirant can draw maximum from these toppers copies?
When it comes to the mains, basically one should look at how the candidates, the successful candidates, have approached the answer writing, how they have kind of structured their answers, what is the feedback that the person who has corrected the paper has given. So vis-a-vis that, I think that gives a good that gives a good kind of a source, or one might say a guide, how answer writing has to be approached.
Okay, fine. Shireen, what is the right time to start for UPSC preparation? Is it after college or during the college itself one can start?
This is a very kind of every individual has a different kind of a background, different circumstances. So it's not as if somebody who starts during college has an advantage. Maybe there is some sort of advantage, but one must be aware of what stage one is in life, and what the person really wants to do. For example, some people want to also have a job so that there is a backup, there is some sort of financial stability. So hence we have to think about where we are, where we want to go, and what kind of any security that we need with us before thinking about the time of starting the preparation. I started it when I was in the first year of post-graduation, because I thought that is the apt timing where I can, where I have some time for 2 years since I'm in post-graduation, I can start the preparation, and then after the post-graduation ends, then I can devote my entire time to the UPSC examination.
So it entirely depends on where you stand, and that will decide when you should start the preparation. So what is the minimum time required to complete the entire syllabus of UPSC, including prelims, mains, and optional, if someone starts from the fresh?
I think that if the right strategy is in place and we follow the sources well and we practice well, 1 year is 1 year. It takes at least 1 year to be thorough with the syllabus. However, again, this is a very customized kind of a thing, wherein I have seen that some people may take lesser. However, to be in general, I have seen that yes, for me it took 1 year to complete the course.
Okay. And what was your strategy for preparation? Did you go for integrated preparation or first prelims and mains? This was your strategy?
I went in for a continuous, like an integrated kind of a study for prelims and mains. For example, there is a static component and there is a dynamic component. So the dynamic component comes from your current affairs, which is something which is supposed to be done every day. That's non-negotiable. For the static component, for example, there's history, geography, and the static components of polity that can be done in an integrated manner with prelims and mains together. So whatever one has done for the prelims, for say history, for geography, for some components of polity, that can be carried to the mains. Even for the dynamic component, for example, economics is a very dynamic subject for both the prelims and the mains. One needs to be well versed with the current affairs, and in whatever notes that the person is making, you can always add the current affairs and add any new happenings that are taking place, so that you have your study material in place, which can help you in both prelims and mains.
Okay. Shrin, what was your style of studying? And that means, did you go for module-wise reading, like first polity, then geography, or you went for mixed type of reading?
I had a broad strategy in place where I used to, for example, I used to have this kind of time limit for certain subjects. So for example, the first round of study that I had for the different subjects, I devoted a month to history, 15 days to geography, to polity, and then 20 days to economics, etc. like this. And then when I was revising, then I used to do different subjects at once. But when I was doing them for the first time, I used to do one subject so that I could also do my optional and then do something for the mains, which is not there in the prelims. For example, there's ethics, or there are certain area in paper 2 and paper 3 like international relations or defense and security. So that was my main strategy.
Fine. So was revision a regular affair for you, or it was something like weekly or once a month? What was your style?
So I think that the first round of preparation, no, it wasn't. But towards when I started the second round, then it became a regular affair. And I used to do for prelims. I started doing weekly tests from around October, November 2018 for the 2019 prelims. So for me, that constituted weekly revision, because that automatically tells you where you are lacking and where you really need to work hard. So if, for instance, even if one is doing history, one thinks that they can answer any question, but when you sit down and you actually do the questions for the prelims, you may realize that something is not right with the preparation. We are not able to answer the questions. So I think that was the way I kind of structured my revision strategy also.
Fine. Shrin, students have a problem that, for example, suppose they have completed the polity, and then when they jump to the geography, and then after that they jump to the history. Then the thing is that they the whatever they have studied in the polity, that fades away. So how to deal with this kind of issue?
So if that is an issue, then we can, for example, if somebody is doing polity, then there is also the thing that you also need to do polity thoroughly before going on to say geography or any other subjects. So if you think that, say, doing 1 week of only polity, and then when the syllabus of polity is at a comfortable state, then you say if you've done geography before and you think that your geography, whatever one has studied in geography is not really on our tips, then you can start revising, say for 1 hour or half an hour, 45 minutes every day, one can go through the concept, so that you are still doing polity, but geography also there is some sort of touch. And of course, nowadays there are a lot of MCQs for prelims at least available on the internet. So for checking whether whether we have been able to retain geography or not, one can also do a lot of MCQs, and then that also helps in recalling and revising. I think better than doing the course once again.
Okay, so after completing any particular syllabus, we should go for MCQ solving to keep in touch with
yes,
that.
as also one can also study the books again. But see, if we've already studied geography and then we're studying polity, then polity is also equally important. So going back again to geography may not be very feasible. So polity for some time, and then if you think when polity is you're at a comfortable stage in polity where you think that you've covered almost 70-80% of the syllabus, maybe you can devote the number of hours you're devoting to polity, say 5. You can devote 4 hours then to polity, and 1 hour you can go back to studying geography.
Okay, fine. Shrin, students have one more problem. For example, whenever they go for any kind of stuff, say for example, they are going to study Lakshmikant and there is a chapter on government, right? So the problem is that if they want to study for prelims, then they will have to skim out the factual data, like what are the sections, what are the important case laws. But when it comes to the mains examination, they should go for conceptual understanding, even what is the definition of governor. So while underlining in the book, they face this kind of problem. What should I underline then, and what should be the mindset in my mind, whether prelims or mains? So how to deal with this dilemma?
The first thing is that when even for the mains, you need the technical aspects. For example, for the governor, there's a question on the governor. How our introduction will be that we will first see, okay, which articles pertain to the governor. So that for the even when studying the articles for the prelims or the technical aspects like the terms of service, etc., one needs to keep the mains in mind or mains in mind always. For example, this year mains there was a question on the attorney general, which is generally considered to be a prelims oriented question. So one, we cannot say whether this is specifically only for the prelims and this will not come for the mains. Then coming to the fact that when we underline, of course, we have to find the keywords for underlining, because even when one is studying for the mains, in the end, we only need to keep the keywords in our mind. We cannot then go on and read the entire book or read the entire chapter. So if anybody has such a, if an individual faces such an issue, then on the left, for example, the on the left page where the governor, the chapter on the governor starts on the right page generally, of Lakshmi Kant. On the left page there is this blank page which is given. One can make some sort of keynotes or some short points through which we can remember the various keywords. Secondly, for the mains, then there are conceptual questions. For example, governor vis-a-vis the use of Article 356. So for that, in Lakshmikant only we can make certain points in short, so that when we are so that it becomes an integrated preparation. When we are revising for when we are studying for the prelims, we can automatically add these points. When we are studying for the mains, we have the technical aspects in place, we have the basics in place, and we also have the extra material that we need to enrich our answers in place. So I think that is what I did.
Okay, fine. And what was your style of notes making? For example, say there is a chapter on the power of RBI, right? So in book already, so there are two types of style. One is that we can just underline in the book itself, these are the powers. Or one thing is that we should just extract those notes in a separate note sheet. What was your style in that?
I think note making is very personal to all of us. For me, it was that I used to make notes in the textbook only. I never, it was only for certain areas like ecology or ecology mainly, or say ethics, some portions where I made notes on my own. Otherwise, I used to jot down any extra additional points in the textbook or the book which I was studying from, so that it becomes easier. Otherwise, our sources become very big. Our sources become a lot. For example, we study from the textbook, we also study from our individual notes. So then there is this psychological thing that we have a pressure on mind that we have to study from multiple sources.
Okay, okay, fine, thank you. Shin, now we'll talk about the people who are going to appear in the Spring 2020 on 4th of October. So take the example of an aspirant is there who has completed all the basic books. He has completed all the test series. He has completed the current affairs. Now, what should he go to do in the next 1 month? 1 month is there. What should they style in the next 1 month?
I would say in this 1 month, preferably one should not go in for any new sources or study any new thing or anything that we have not studied before. So we should, whatever notes that they have or the textbook they are studying from, just keep revising from the textbook. Also keep revising the current affairs regularly. Read the newspaper, preferably before, even on the day before the prelims, because most people don't read it. Some people stop reading it, so don't do that. Keep whatever tests that we have taken in this run up to the prelims, we should keep revising those tests. And then the thing is that we should also be calm and have a good sleeping pattern before the examination, because most of the time we study at night and then we sleep in the morning. So reverse that now, because the exam is in the morning. So, and the second thing is one has to be calm and have presence of mind, because we have to factor in the unpredictability of the prelims examination. So that has to be kept in mind, so that we are not perturbed when we see questions that are not say that we have never done before, or that we don't know when we look at them the first time. So I think that is the kind of the mental makeup also has to become very strong now.
Okay. And what about the students who are not so well prepared? What they should do for this next 1 month? The minimum.
I think that there is nobody who's completely prepared for this examination. So if in this 1 month, if a person thinks that he or she is not well prepared, but that should not deter him or her from at least giving their best in this 1 month, and on the day of the prelims also doing whatever you know. The main factor is that whatever you know, you should know it very well. So we should not let this thing come into our mind that, okay, we are not prepared or we are fully prepared. that has not to be there, and we have to be present in the situation. That is, we have to take the prelims examination as any examination, and then one can of course say that yes, I'll take a next attempt, but at least for this 1 month and for the day of the prelims, give it your 100%. It is not too late for anybody.
So if someone has left an area which is a weak area for him or her, like for example, many people leave art and culture or ancient medieval. So what's your advice? They should completely leave now, or they should complete those areas?
That depends on if they think that the other portion, the other syllabus they have, it's in their hands, they are thorough with it. They can probably devote some time to art and culture, but not go into the really details or any specifics, but just read any standard textbook so that there is some basic idea. Because sometimes there are certain conceptual questions also where if you apply your mind, you can actually kind of arrive at the right answer without knowing it properly. However, reading 4-5 books on art and culture, or really devoting your entire period to art and culture, is not advisable at this point of time. While now is a time where you need to strengthen we need to focus on your strengths and enrich them and strengthen them more.
Okay, Shirin, how many questions should one attempt? Irrespective of what is the nature of the paper.
For me, since I have taken the prelims thrice, I would want to say that the first 2 times that I actually did not clear the prelims, one of the main reasons was that I did not attempt a lot of questions. So this time around, when I was attempting the test series, I realized that for me as an individual, I have to attempt at least 80-84 questions to really then that gives me a good margin of the negatives that I may get wrong, that I get a comfortable score. So for me personally, I would say that given that the prelims examination is the nature of it is changing, try and attempt a large number of questions. Now attempting a small number of questions may not be a very good idea. However, again, it is up to the individual. So for me, attempting a large number of questions was worked for me. But again, there has to be some sort of intelligent guessing, because there is not possible to know a lot of questions, but that comes from practicing a lot. So if you practice a lot, we can actually get to know, okay, that this is the way certain questions are to be answered. Even if one does not know, how can one deduce and arrive at the correct answer? So I think that is
Okay, so wild guess should not be there.
Yeah, wild guess should not be there. However, it's not as if one can be overly cautious and not attempt, because that is also not going to really fetch you marks.
Okay, fine. Shirin, can you just tell me something about how to attempt the paper? Whenever a student gets the paper in the UPSC, what should be the style of attempting the paper?
So for me, I start from the first question the prelims paper, and then I go right up to the 100 questions. So in this first round, I only mark those questions which I think I know very well. There will always be questions for any student who studies seriously. There will always be questions for at least 40-50 which you know very well. And you can attempt. So that is the first round. Then when that first round gets over, I start backwards. I start from the last question, that is the 100th question, and then I move on. I see which questions, okay, I can think a little bit about them, and then again do the same kind of calculated guessing and answer them. So this becomes this is the second round, and then of course I do then of course I look at the paper once more and try to figure out that, okay, maybe there are some questions which I may be able to answer. So this is a kind of thing.
Ashrin, any tips for handling the examination pressure?
So I would say that studying hard is important, but then there has to be some sort of recreation. Whatever hobby you have, you should kind of keep it alive, so that there is some sort of release of pressure. Secondly, surrounding yourself with the right people, the people who motivate you to remain positive. So many a times we are kind of surrounded by people who always demotivate us, who always kind of are trying to impress upon us the difficulty of the examination. So in this 1 month at least, surround yourself with positivity, keep working hard, and always, and the most important thing beyond all strategies and the source material that we have is to have confidence and belief in ourselves. Because without that, we cannot attempt the paper confidently. And that is the key in this examination. Nobody knows everything. But whatever you know, you should know it very well and should be confident and have faith in yourself.
Okay, fine. Shrin, the last question to you. Any advice to the students because they are under stress because of the COVID? They don't know whether examination will be cancelled or it will be again postponed, and all the politics you can see going around in the NEET and JEE. So, how students should deal with this dilemma and this tension?
I would say that all this tension and this dilemma will actually make us stronger to face difficulties in our life, the life that we are about to face. So, if you can, then you should kind of not really concentrate so much on this on this kind of the strategy or the dilemma that you are facing vis-a-vis whether the exam will happen or not. You should use this time to strengthen your preparation, and you should also continue to as I've mentioned before, continue to have some sort of hobby, some sort of avenue to release your pressure, and take care of your mental health. uh, Take care of your mental health, and always think about always remain positive. That is what I would say.
Okay, thank you, Shrin. Thank you for joining us, and from the entire team of GS Score, we wish all the
Thank you.
best for the future.
I thank GS Score for their guidance. I was a student of their essay and their mains test series, and their feedback helped me in improving my answer writing skills. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrin.